Number, Part 1, The Summons. Captain Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of the Times Harmony asterisk, watching the stars through the main viewport. His ship was small compared to the massive vessels that other alien species flew across the galaxy. The Times Harmony Times was Earth's diplomatic ship, designed to carry ambassadors and make humanity look peaceful and friendly. It had been doing that job for the past 15 years. The bridge was quiet that morning. Only 3 crew members were present, monitoring the usual systems and checking navigation data. Hyun-woo liked these peaceful moments. Space was vast and mostly empty, and he enjoyed the silence it brought. He had been a captain for 20 years, and he had learned to appreciate the calm before any storm. Then the communication console started beeping. It was not the usual soft sound that indicated a routine message. This was urgent, loud, and insistent. Lieutenant Sung Min, the communications officer, quickly moved to check the incoming transmission. Her face went pale as she read the message. "Captain, we're receiving an emergency transmission from the Galactic Council," she said, her voice tight with worry. Hyun-woo walked over to her station. The Galactic Council rarely contacted humanity directly. Earth was considered a minor species, barely worth acknowledging. Humans had only achieved faster-than-light travel 70 years ago. Most species in the galaxy had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. To them, humanity was like a child who had just learned to walk. "Put it on screen," Hyun-woo ordered. The message appeared, written in the standard galactic language that all species used for official communication. Hyun-woo read it carefully, his expression growing darker with each line. The Council was summoning humanity to answer charges of aggressive expansion and violation of territorial boundaries. 3 human colony ships had allegedly crossed into restricted space belonging to the Velkrin sovereignty. The Council demanded that Earth send a representative immediately to the Celestial Nexus, their massive space station headquarters. The message ended with a deadline: 7 days. If humanity did not appear within 7 days, the Council would assume guilt and take appropriate action. The message did not explain what those actions would be, but Hyun-woo could guess. Economic sanctions at best. Military intervention at worst. "Get me Ambassador G1, Hyun-woo said, "and contact Earth Command. They need to see this." Within minutes, Ambassador G1 arrived on the bridge. She was a tall woman in her 50s, with sharp eyes and a mind that could navigate political situations better than any computer could navigate space. She had represented Earth at dozens of minor galactic gatherings, always working to improve humanity's reputation. She read the message twice, then shook her head. "This is absurd. Our colony ships have detailed navigation logs. They would never enter restricted space. It's against every protocol we have." "I know," Hyun-woo agreed. "But the Council doesn't care about our protocols. They're looking for a reason to put us in our place." The communication console beeped again. This time, it was a priority channel from Earth, encrypted and marked for the captain's eyes only. Hyun-woo moved to his private terminal and entered his security codes. The message appeared, and what he read made him pause. The message was from Admiral Park, the head of Earth's United Defense Command. It was brief and direct, as all military orders should be. "Do not take the Times, Harmony asterisk. Take the Times, Indomitable asterisk. Crew authorization attached. Departure in 24 hours. Hyun-woo read the message 3 times. The Times, Indomitable asterisk. For a moment, he wondered if the Admiral had made a mistake. Then he saw the authorization codes and realized this was real. Ambassador G1 noticed his expression. "What is it?" Hyun-woo looked at her carefully. "We're not taking this ship to the Council meeting." "What do you mean?" "The Times. Harmony Times is our diplomatic vessel. It's perfect for this situation. Earth Command has other plans." He transferred the message to her secure tablet. She read it, and her eyes went wide. "The Times, Indomitable asterisk?" she whispered. Are they serious?" Completely serious. But that ship was supposed to be a secret. If we show up in that, the entire galaxy will know we've been building military vessels in secret for decades. Hyunwoo nodded. Yes. And apparently, Earth Command has decided it's time for the galaxy to know. The Times. Indomitable Times was humanity's greatest secret. For 30 years, thousands of engineers and workers had been building it inside the hollowed-out asteroid series, hidden in the outer solar system. The ship was 15 kilometers long, armed with weapons that combined human engineering with technology secretly observed from dozens of alien conflicts. It was powered by a contained singularity drive, a black hole the size of a marble that provided almost unlimited energy. Only a few hundred people in the entire human population knew the ship existed. Hyunwoo was one of them. He had been briefed on the Times' Indomitable Times 5 years ago, when Earth Command decided he might someday need to captain it. He had hoped that day would never come. Ambassador G1 paced the bridge, clearly upset. This is a mistake. If we show up in a battleship, the Council will see it as an act of aggression. They'll think we're threatening them. Maybe that's the point, Hyunwoo said quietly. Earth is tired of being treated like a child. We've followed every rule, obeyed every treaty, and tried to be good neighbors. And what has it gotten us? False accusations and threats. So we respond with threats of our own? No. We respond by showing strength. There's a difference. The argument continued for another hour. But in the end, orders were orders. Hyunwoo began selecting his crew. He needed the best people Earth had, specialists who could handle the Times' Indomitable Asterisks advanced systems. Commander Dae-hyun, his tactical officer, was an obvious choice. The man was brilliant and calm under pressure. 24 hours later, a small transport ship carried Hyunwoo, Ambassador G1, and 50 crew members to the Kuiper Belt. The Times. Indomitable Times waited there, hiding among the ice and rock of the outer solar system. When Hyunwoo first saw it through the transport's viewport, he felt his breath catch. The ship was massive, dark, and angular. It looked nothing like the sleek, elegant vessels that other species built. It looked like what? It was a weapon. Every surface was covered in armor plating. Thousands of small turrets dotted the hull, part of the point defense system. The main guns were built into the structure itself, making the entire ship a single, integrated weapon platform. As they boarded, and Hyunwoo took his place in the captain's chair, he thought about what they were about to do. Earth was sending a battleship to a diplomatic meeting. The galaxy expected a shuttle, perhaps a small frigate at most. They would get humanity's supreme warship instead. Set course for the celestial nexus, Hyunwoo ordered. Maximum speed. The Times. Indomitable Times came to life around him, its massive engines igniting. As they accelerated toward the Council's headquarters, Hyunwoo remembered something his instructor had told him years ago at the academy. Hope for peace, the old man had said, but always prepare for war. Humanity had prepared. Now the galaxy would see exactly what that preparation had created. Part 2. First Contact with Contempt. The Times. Indomitable Times dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the celestial nexus system. The main viewport showed a neutron star in the distance, spinning rapidly and throwing off radiation that made the surrounding space shimmer with strange colors. Orbiting that star was the nexus itself, a massive station that looked like a silver wheel with 1,000 spokes. It was the largest artificial structure in the known galaxy. Captain Hyunwoo studied the station through the ship's sensors. Hundreds of vessels surrounded it, representing dozens of different species. Some were elegant and curved, others were geometric and precise. All of them were small compared to the Times' Indomitable Asterisk. The human battleship dwarfed everything in the system, except the station itself. We're being hailed, Lieutenant Sung-min reported from her communications station. Multiple vessels. They're demanding we identify ourselves. Open a channel, Hyunwoo ordered. All frequencies. The main screen changed to show the interior of another ship's bridge. The being who appeared there was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on its face. It wore an elaborate uniform covered in medals and decorations. This was a Talvian, member of one of the galaxy's most militarily powerful species, unidentified vessel. This is Fleet Commander Veltanus of the Galactic Patrol. You have entered restricted space without proper clearance. State your identity and purpose immediately, or you will be fired upon. Hyunwoo kept his expression neutral. This is Captain Hyunwoo of the Earth Vessel Times Indomitable Asterisk. We are here by summons of the Galactic Council to answer charges against humanity. We have proper authorization. Veltanus's 4 eyes widened slightly, then narrowed in what Hyunwoo assumed was contempt. The alien gestured to someone off-screen, then looked back at the camera with an expression that clearly showed disdain. Earth? The primitive species from Sector 7? We expected a shuttle or perhaps a small diplomatic frigate. What is this monstrosity you have brought to our system? This is our diplomatic vessel, Hyunwoo replied calmly. Is there a problem, Commander? Yes, there is a problem. You humans think you can intimidate the Council by arriving in some oversized cargo hauler dressed up with weapon pods? Pathetic. Veltanus leaned back in his chair. My tactical officer informs me your vessel appears to be 15 kilometers in length. That is a violation of diplomatic protocols, which limit visiting vessels to no more than 2 kilometers. Ambassador G1 stepped forward. Commander, Earth was not informed of any size restrictions. If you check your records, you'll find that our summons made no mention of vessel specifications. Veltanus waved a hand dismissively. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. You will proceed to coordinates Delta 79, a holding orbit suitable for quarantined vessels and potential security threats. You will remain there until the Council decides what to do with you. Hyunwoo pulled up the coordinates on his navigation display. Delta 79 was far from the station, in a position where they would be isolated and vulnerable. It was where the Council kept ships they considered dangerous or contaminated. Commander, those coordinates are not acceptable, Hyunwoo said. We are here on official business, not as criminals. You will go where I tell you to go, human. Veltanus's voice hardened. Or my patrol fleet will escort you there, by force. We have 40 vessels surrounding your position. Surrender your navigation to our control, or face the consequences. Commander Dae-hoon, standing at the tactical station, looked at Hyunwoo. The captain gave him a small nod. Dae-hoon's fingers moved across his console, entering a series of commands. Commander Veltanus, Hyunwoo said, his voice still calm. Before you make any threats, you should probably check your tactical display. On the Talvian ship, alarms began to sound. Veltanus turned to his tactical officer, who was staring at his screen in disbelief. The officer spoke rapidly in the Talvian language, his voice rising with panic. What is this? Veltanus demanded, looking back at Hyunwoo. What have you done? We've activated our point defense system, Hyunwoo explained. Nothing aggressive, Commander. Simply a precautionary measure. You did mention using force, after all. On the Talvian tactical display, 3,000 red dots had appeared, each one representing a weapon turret on the Times Indomitable Asterisk's hull. Each turret was independently targeting a different Talvian vessel. The computer was showing that every single ship in the patrol fleet was being tracked by dozens of weapons simultaneously. Veltanus's blue skin seemed to grow paler. This is impossible. No ship has that many weapons. Your sensors must be malfunctioning. I assure you, Commander, our sensors are working perfectly. Hyunwoo leaned forward slightly. And I should mention that what you're seeing is only our defensive systems. We haven't activated any of our primary weapons yet. The communication channel was silent for several seconds. Hyunwoo could see other Talvian officers moving frantically on Veltanus's bridge. Someone was shouting about energy readings. Another officer was reporting that their targeting computers couldn't lock onto the human ship because of some kind of interference. Finally, Veltanis spoke again, his voice more controlled but noticeably less arrogant. "What kind of ship is this?" "I told you, Commander. A diplomatic vessel. We're here to talk with the Council, not to fight. But we will not be threatened or treated as criminals when we have done nothing wrong. You're carrying enough weapons to destroy my entire fleet." "Yes," Hyunwoo agreed. "We are. And if you check your historical databases, you'll find that humanity has never fired the first shot in any conflict. We don't start wars, Commander." Ambassador G1 put a hand on Hyunwoo's shoulder, a gentle reminder not to escalate too much. He nodded slightly. "We're going to proceed to the diplomatic berths near the main station," Hyunwoo continued. "If the Council has a problem with that, they can contact us directly. I would suggest your patrol fleet maintain a respectful distance, for safety reasons." Veltanis looked like he wanted to argue, but his tactical officer was shaking his head urgently. Whatever data they were seeing, it had convinced them that fighting the times, indomitable times, would be a very bad idea. "I will inform the Council of this situation," Veltanis said stiffly. "They will decide how to handle your breach of protocol." The communication channel closed. Hyunwoo looked at his crew. "Helm, take us to Dock 7 Alpha. That's the primary diplomatic berth. Nice and slow. Let's give everyone a good look at us." The times, indomitable times, began moving toward the station. The Talvian patrol ships maintained their positions for a moment, then slowly began to move away, giving the human battleship a wide berth. As they traveled, Hyunwoo watched the sensor display. More ships were appearing, coming from different parts of the system to investigate the massive newcomer. "Sir," Commander Daehyun said quietly, "we're being scanned by at least 30 different vessels. They're trying to analyze our weapons and power systems." "Let them look," Hyunwoo replied. "They won't understand most of what they're seeing anyway." On the station itself, something was happening. The docking bay, designated as 7 Alpha, was the largest berth available, normally reserved for the Council's most important members. Ships were being moved out of it, clearing space for the time's indomitable asterisk. It took almost an hour to rearrange everything. Ambassador G1 watched the process with a mixture of satisfaction and worry. "They're giving us the primary berth. That's unprecedented for a minor species." "They're not doing it out of respect," Hyunwoo said. "They're doing it because they're afraid. They recognize what our power signature means." "What do you mean?" "The singularity drive. It's putting out energy readings that haven't been seen in this galaxy for thousands of years. Some species will remember what that signature means. They'll remember the ancient wars and the weapons that nearly destroyed everything." As if to confirm his words, another communication came through. This time, it wasn't from a patrol commander. It was from the High Arbiter of the Galactic Council itself, a being called Kixtera. The screen showed a crystalline entity that seemed to be made of living light, its form constantly shifting and changing. "Captain Hyunwoo of Earth." The being's voice resonated through the bridge like music. "You will be granted docking privileges at berth 7 Alpha. The Council will convene in 6 hours to hear your case. We welcome you to the Celestial Nexus." The way Kixtera said "welcome" made it clear that humanity was anything but welcome. But they were being allowed to dock, which was what mattered. As the time's indomitable times settled into its berth, dwarfing every other ship visible, Hyunwoo allowed himself a small smile. The galaxy had expected a shuttle. They had gotten humanity's answer instead. Now they would learn that Earth was no longer willing to be dismissed or ignored. The real test, however, was yet to come. Part 3. The Trial of Humanity. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was designed to make visitors feel small and insignificant. Captain Hyunwoo, Ambassador G1, and Commander Daehyun walked down a long corridor toward it, flanked by guards from 3 different species. The corridor walls were transparent, showing the vastness of space outside and reminding anyone who entered that they were just tiny beings in an enormous universe. When they entered the chamber itself, Hyunwoo understood why it had such a reputation. The room was enormous, shaped like an amphitheater that could hold thousands. Tiered seating rose up on all sides, already filled with representatives from hundreds of species. Some were humanoid, others were completely alien, floating gas clouds, mechanical beings, creatures that looked like living plants. All of them were watching as the three humans were led to the center of the floor. The center was a depression in the ground, a pit where the accused stood. It meant everyone else looked down at them. It was meant to be humiliating. A reminder of their place. Ambassador Jiwon's jaw tightened as she stepped down into it, but she kept her composure. Above them, on the highest tier, sat the High Arbiter Kyxtera. The crystalline being glowed softly, its light reflecting off the polished surfaces of the chamber. Around it sat the Council's inner circle, 12 beings representing the oldest and most powerful species in the galaxy. Kyxtera's voice filled the chamber without need for speakers. We are gathered to address charges against the species known as humanity of the planet Earth, located in Sector 7. The charges are as follows: violation of Treaty 4477 Delta, unauthorized expansion into restricted space, and potential acts of war against the Velcrin sovereignty. A section of the viewing screen behind Kyxtera lit up, showing a star map. Red lines marked the boundaries of claimed territories. Blue dots showed the paths of 3 human colony ships. The dots appeared to cross into a yellow zone marked as Velcrin space. Another being stood from the lower council tier. This was Ambassador Taeyang of the Velcrin sovereignty. He was reptilian, covered in dark green scales, with cold yellow eyes that fixed on the humans below. His mouth curved into what might have been a smile, showing rows of sharp teeth. High Arbiter, honored council members, Taeyang began, his voice smooth and calculated. The evidence speaks for itself. 3 human colony vessels entered Velcrin sovereign territory without permission. When our outposts attempted to contact them, the vessels did not respond. Shortly after, 3 of our military outposts in that region were destroyed. The screen changed to show images of debris floating in space. Twisted metal, scorched fragments, pieces that had once been buildings or ships. The destruction looked complete. These outposts housed 217 Velcrin citizens, Taeyang continued. All are now dead. The energy signatures detected at the destruction sites match the type of weapons that primitive species use: crude nuclear devices and kinetic weapons. The kind of weapons that humanity is known to possess. A murmur ran through the assembled representatives. Many species looked at the humans with suspicion or disgust. Hyunwoo kept his face blank, but inside, his mind was racing. The accusations were serious, and the evidence looked bad. Ambassador Jiwon stepped forward. High Arbiter, if I may speak? Kyxtera inclined its crystalline head. You may present your defense. Jiwon pulled out a datapad. The star charts presented by Ambassador Taeyang are incorrect. This is the actual navigation data from our colony ships. She transmitted the information to the chamber's main display. The map changed slightly. The blue dots showing the human ship's paths shifted by several degrees. In this version, the ships never entered the yellow zone at all. They stayed in the gray areas, unclaimed space that any species could travel through. Our ships followed established trade routes through neutral territory, Jiwon explained. The Velcrin sovereignty only claimed that region of space 4 months ago, long after our ships had already departed Earth. Our vessels were following paths that were legal when they left home. Taeyang hissed, a sound that echoed through the chamber. You admit that your ships were in disputed territory, and you cannot deny the destruction of our outposts. We deny nothing, Jiwon replied firmly. But we deny responsibility. Our colony ships are unarmed. They carry families, children, farming equipment, and building supplies. They have no weapons capable of destroying military installations. Then explain the energy signatures, Taeyang demanded. Explain how Velcrin outposts were destroyed by weapons matching human technology, immediately after human ships were detected in the area. This was where Captain Hyun-woo had been waiting to speak. He stepped forward beside Ambassador Ji-won. High Arbiter. May I address the council? There was a pause. Cheeks Terra studied the human captain with its alien gaze. You are military, not diplomatic. Why should we hear from you? Why? Because I have relevant technical information about the energy signatures, Ambassador Tae Yang mentioned. Another pause. Then Kyextera gestured permission. Speak. Hyun-woo pulled up his own data display, showing technical readouts that he knew most of the council wouldn't fully understand. But some would. And that was enough. These energy signatures don't match human weapons, he said. They match Velcrin weapons. Specifically, they match the signature of Velcrin plasma cannons, the kind installed on Velcrin military vessels. The chamber erupted with sound. Representatives from dozens of species began talking at once. Tae-young's scales seemed to darken with anger. That is a ridiculous accusation. Are you suggesting the Velcrin destroyed our own outposts? I'm not suggesting anything, Hyun-woo replied calmly. I'm presenting data. These signatures show plasma residue consistent with Velcrin technology. Human weapons don't use plasma. We use kinetic energy and conventional explosives. The radiation patterns are completely different. He changed the display to show a comparison. On one side was the energy signature from the destroyed outposts. On the other was a library of known weapon signatures. The destroyed outpost signatures matched Velcrin weapons almost perfectly. They didn't match human weapons at all. Kyextera leaned forward, its crystalline form pulsing with light. This is a serious counteraccusation, Captain. You are claiming the Velcrin sovereignty destroyed its own people? I'm claiming someone with Velcrin weapons destroyed those outposts, Hyun-woo corrected. Whether it was the Velcrin government, rogue Velcrin forces, or someone else using stolen Velcrin technology, I can't say. But it definitely wasn't humanity. 1. Velcrin collided, in 1807, whether it was the Velcrin governed technology. Tae-young's yellow eyes fixed on Hyun-woo with pure hatred. You dare. I dare to present facts, Hyun-woo interrupted. You brought charges against my species. You showed us your evidence. Now we're showing you ours. If you want to accuse humanity of war crimes, you'd better have better proof than energy signatures that actually implicate your own people. The chamber was in chaos now. Representatives were arguing with each other. Some demanded more investigation. Others called for humanity to be sanctioned, regardless. A few, Hyun-woo noticed, were watching the Velcrin delegation with suspicion. Tae-young stood taller, his voice cutting through the noise. High Arbiter. This is clearly a desperate attempt by humanity to avoid responsibility. They bring forged data and make wild accusations. He turned to face the entire assembly. But if they are so confident in their innocence, let them prove it. Let the council board their vessels and inspect them. If they truly have no weapons capable of this destruction, let them show us. It was a clever move, Hyun-woo realized. Tae-young was trying to turn the situation around. If humanity refused inspection, they would look guilty. If they allowed it, the council would get to see inside the times, indomitable times, and learn its secrets. Ambassador Ji-won looked at Hyun-woo with alarm. They both knew what was at stake. The times, indomitable times, was full of technology Earth had wanted to keep secret, but refusing the inspection would destroy their credibility. Hyun-woo made his decision. The council may inspect our vessels, he said. All of them, including the times indomitable asterisk. A ripple of surprise went through the chamber. No one had expected the humans to agree so readily. However, Hyun-woo continued, I propose a condition. If your inspection proves that our ships are incapable of the destruction you've accused us of, and if our evidence of Velcrin weapons involvement holds up to scrutiny, then humanity will be granted full council membership with all associated rights and privileges. and the Council will launch a formal investigation into the Velkrin sovereignty for false accusations and potential war crimes. The chamber went silent. It was a bold demand. Membership in the Council was something species worked centuries to achieve. Humanity had only been in space for 70 years. Taeyang started to object, but Chixtera raised a crystalline hand. The terms are acceptable. We will form an inspection team immediately. They will board the human vessels within 6 hours. The High Arbiter's gaze swept across both the humans and the Velkrin, and they will determine the truth of these accusations, whoever that truth may condemn. As the session ended and the humans were escorted out, Commander Daehyun whispered to Hyunwoo, "Sir, are you sure about this? Once they see what's inside the Time's indomitable asterisk, they'll know that humanity is not to be trifled with," Hyunwoo finished. "That's exactly what I want them to know." Behind them, Taeyang watched with his cold yellow eyes, already planning his next move. Part 4. Inspection and Revelation. The inspection team arrived at the Time's indomitable Times exactly 6 hours later. There were 15 beings from 12 different species, all experts in engineering, weapons systems, or military tactics. Leading them was an Orthani named Krelvan, a being that looked like a bipedal insect covered in metallic armor. The Orthani were famous throughout the galaxy for their engineering knowledge and their military precision. Commander Daehyun met them at the main airlock. "Welcome aboard the Time's indomitable asterisk. Captain Hyunwoo has authorized full access to all ship systems. You may inspect anything you wish." Krelvan's compound eyes studied Daehyun for a moment. "We will begin with your weapons systems," he said in a clicking voice. "That is what this inspection is about. Of course, follow me." As they walked through the ship's corridors, the inspection team looked around with barely concealed interest. The Times, indomitable Times, was unlike anything they had seen before. Most galactic ships had curved, organic designs, with smooth walls and artistic decorations. The Times, indomitable Times, was all straight lines and angles. The walls were reinforced metal. Exposed pipes and cables ran along the ceilings. Everything was functional, with no wasted space for beauty. "Your ship is very utilitarian," commented a floating being, made of what looked like water, held in a force field. This was a Liquan, a species known for their elegant ship designs. "We built it for war, not for art," Daehyun replied simply. They reached the first weapons bay, where rows of railguns lined the outer hull. Krelvan examined them closely, running scanners over the massive barrels. Kinetic weapons. Very crude, but very powerful. These fire solid projectiles at extreme velocities. "Correct," Daehyun confirmed. "Each railgun can fire a 1-ton tungsten round at 3% of light speed. We have 400 of these guns, positioned around the ship." Several members of the inspection team exchanged looks. One of them, a furry being with 6 limbs, spoke up. 3% of light speed? That would penetrate almost any shield or armor in the galaxy. "Yes," Daehyun agreed. "It would." They moved on to the missile batteries. Here, thousands of missiles sat in automated loading systems, each one carefully maintained and ready to fire. Krelvan examined one of the missiles, scanning its warhead. "Conventional explosives," he noted. "Nuclear fission boosted. Primitive, but effective." "How many missiles does this ship carry?" 40,000, Daehyun answered. The inspection team fell silent. 40,000 missiles was more than most species' entire fleets carried combined. Next came the laser arrays, the electronic warfare systems, and finally the point defense grid. When the team saw the 3,000 automated turrets covering every angle of the ship, one of them simply said, "This is insane. You've built a fortress that can fly." "We prefer to think of it as a ship that can fight," Daehyun replied with a slight smile. Krelvan was making notes on a portable device. "I must admit," he said, "while your weapons are crude by our standards, they are impressively numerous." However, I see nothing here that matches the energy signatures from the destroyed Velcrin outposts. These are all kinetic or conventional weapons. The outposts were destroyed by plasma-based weaponry. Exactly, Daehyun said. Humanity doesn't use plasma weapons. We never have. It's not our technology. The inspection continued for several more hours. They examined the ship's armor, which was layered with multiple types of metals and composites, each layer designed to absorb or deflect different types of weapons. They studied the redundant power systems, the backup life support, the reinforced internal bulkheads that could seal off damaged sections. Finally, they reached the reactor chamber. This was what Daehyun had been both dreading and anticipating. When the blast doors opened and the inspection team saw what lay inside, several of them stepped back in shock. At the center of the chamber, suspended in a spherical containment field, was a tiny black hole. It was no larger than a marble, but the space around it was twisted and distorted. Energy collection arrays surrounded it, drawing power from the Hawking radiation it emitted. "That's impossible," whispered the Liquid Inspector. "That's a contained singularity. That technology is forbidden by council law, forbidden to be rediscovered," Krelvan corrected, still staring at the black hole. "The ancient species nearly destroyed the galaxy with singularity weapons. That's why the technology was banned, and all records of how to create it were destroyed thousands of years ago." Captain Hyun-woo appeared behind them, having come down from the bridge. "We didn't rediscover it," he said calmly. "We invented our own version. Our containment methods are completely different from the ancient designs. This singularity is stable and safe. It's been running continuously for 5 years without any problems." Krelvan turned to face him. "How? How did humanity develop this technology? You're a young species, barely into space for a single human lifetime." "We observed," Hyun-woo replied. "We watched your wars, your conflicts, your technologies. We learned from what we saw. And then we built something that combined those lessons with our own engineering." "You spied on us," someone accused. "We watched public broadcasts of your military conflicts," Hyun-woo corrected. "That's not spying. That's research. If you didn't want other species to learn from your wars, you shouldn't have broadcast them throughout the galaxy." Before the argument could escalate, Daehyun interrupted. "Inspectors, there's one more thing you should see. Our sensor logs from the time period when the Velcrin outposts were destroyed." He led them to the ship's main computer core and pulled up the relevant data. The times, indomitable times, had been in the Kuiper Belt during that time, but its long-range sensors were powerful enough to detect energy signatures from hundreds of light-years away. "Here," Daehyun said, highlighting specific data points. "These are the exact moments when the 3 Velcrin outposts were destroyed. You can see the energy signatures clearly. Plasma weapons, specifically Velcrin military-grade plasma cannons. And here," he expanded the view, "you can see the ships that fired them." The inspection team crowded around the display. The sensor data showed 3 Velcrin military vessels, their identification codes clearly visible, firing on their own outposts. There was no ambiguity, no room for interpretation. The evidence was absolute. Krelvan's compound eyes widened. This proves the Velcrin destroyed their own people. Or at least Velcrin ships did," Hyun-woo said. "Whether it was official government policy or rogue military elements, we can't say. But it definitely wasn't humanity." One of the inspectors, a being that looked like a walking plant, spoke up nervously. "If we present this evidence to the council, there will be serious consequences for the Velcrin sovereignty." "As there should be," Hyun-woo replied. "They accused my species of murder. They tried to use false evidence to discredit us. Justice demands that the truth be revealed." The inspection team spent another hour verifying the data, checking it against every possible form of manipulation or forgery. But the Time's indomitable asterisk sensor logs were encrypted with quantum methods that couldn't be faked. The data was genuine. As the team prepared to leave and present their findings to the council, Krelvan approached Hyunwoo privately. "Captain, your ship is remarkable. Terrifying, but remarkable. You've built something that could challenge any fleet in the galaxy." "We built something that can defend humanity," Hyunwoo corrected. "We have no interest in conquest or aggression, but we will not be pushed around or threatened." "I believe you," Krelvan said. "But not everyone on the council will. When they see this report, when they learn what humanity has been hiding, some will see it as a threat. I mean, let them," Hyunwoo replied. "We came here in peace, willing to answer accusations and prove our innocence. But we came in a battleship because we wanted the galaxy to understand something important. Humanity may be young, but we are not weak. We are not prey, and we are not going away." The inspection team departed, taking their findings with them. Within hours, those findings would be presented to the full Galactic Council. The evidence would be undeniable. The Velcrin sovereignty would be exposed as liars at best, murderers at worst. But as Commander Daehyun watched the inspector's ship pull away, he felt uneasy. If they're desperate enough to kill their own people to frame us, they might be desperate enough to do something even worse. Hyunwoo nodded slowly. "I know. That's why I want all crew at battle stations, and activate every sensor we have. If the Velcrin are planning something, I want to know about it before it happens." Far across the station, in the Velcrin delegation's quarters, Ambassador Taeyang was indeed planning something. He had received word of the inspection results. He knew his deception had been uncovered, and he had already sent a coded message to the Velcrin fleet hiding in the outer system. The message was simple: execute Plan Omega, destroy the Nexus, blame humanity, begin the war. Part 5. Humanity's Answer. The alarm started screaming across the celestial nexus at exactly the same moment the Galactic Council was reviewing the inspection report. Captain Hyunwoo was still on the station, standing in a waiting chamber with Ambassador G1, when the emergency alerts began flashing on every screen. His communicator buzzed urgently. "Captain, this is Commander Daehyun. We have a situation. Multiple Velcrin warships just decloaked throughout the system. I count 80 vessels, all armed and moving toward the Nexus. They're powering weapons." Hyunwoo didn't hesitate. "Get everyone back to the ship. Now. And prepare for combat." Ambassador Ji-won grabbed his arm. "Wait." The building shook. Through the windows, they could see explosions blooming across the Nexus's outer ring. The Velcrin weren't threatening. They were attacking. They were actually firing on the seat of galactic government. "That's no mistake," Hyunwoo said grimly. "They're trying to destroy the council and blame it on us. Commander, I'm on my way. Keep the ship ready." They ran through corridors filled with panicking aliens. Council delegates were scrambling for escape ships. Station security forces were trying to organize a defense, but they were designed for peacekeeping, not warfare. The Nexus had defensive weapons, but they were meant to deter pirates, not fight a fleet of military warships. By the time Hyunwoo reached the Times' indomitable asterisk, 3 sections of the station were already destroyed. Hundreds were dead. The Velcrin fleet was systematically targeting the council chambers, trying to kill the leadership of the entire galactic civilization. Hyunwoo burst onto the bridge. "Status: all crew aboard and accounted for," Daehyun reported. "The station's defenses are failing. They're asking all nearby ships to assist, but most of the diplomatic vessels here are unarmed. The few military ships present are outnumbered 20 to 1. Where are the Velcrin ships concentrating their fire? The council chambers and the main reactor complex. If they destroy the reactor, the entire station will tear itself apart." Hyunwoo looked at the tactical display. The Velcrin fleet was positioned in 3 groups, methodically destroying the station section by section. Behind them, he could see dozens of escape pods launching from the Nexus, trying to get clear of the battle. Ambassador G1 appeared on the bridge, having run from the docking bay behind him. "Captain, please, there has to be another way. If you fight here, thousands more will die. If I don't fight, millions will die, Hyunwoo countered. The Velkrin are trying to decapitate the entire galactic government. If they succeed, there will be chaos. Wars, suffering on a scale we can't imagine. He turned to face her directly. We came here in a battleship for exactly this reason. Because someone needed to be able to stop this. He turned back to his crew. All hands. This is the captain. We are going to engage the Velkrin fleet. Our objective is to protect the Nexus and prevent them from destroying the Council. Rules of engagement. Fire only on Velkrin military vessels. Protect any escape pods or civilian ships. And remember, the galaxy is watching. Let's show them what humanity is made of. All weapons systems active. Dae-hyun reported. Point defense grid online. Railguns loaded. Missiles armed. Awaiting your orders, sir. Hyunwoo took a deep breath. Take us in. Position between the Velkrin fleet and the station. And send a message to all ships in the system. Stand down and withdraw to safety. Humanity will handle this. The Times, indomitable Times, disengaged from its berth and moved forward. It was one ship against 80, but Hyunwoo had trained for exactly this scenario. The ship had been designed to fight entire fleets alone, the Velkrin noticed immediately. A dozen ships broke off from attacking the station and moved to intercept the human battleship. Plasma bolts streaked across space, slamming into the Times' indomitable asterisk's armor. The ship shuddered, but held. Armor holding, Dae-hyun reported. Outer plates showing damage, but all internal systems nominal. Return fire. Railguns full salvo. The Times. Indomitable Times spoke with thunder. 400 railguns, fired in perfect synchronization. Tungsten rounds, each one moving at 3% of light speed, crossed the distance in seconds. The Velkrin shields, designed to stop energy weapons, were useless against solid projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. 5 Velkrin ships simply disintegrated. The rounds punched through their hulls like paper, the kinetic energy turning metal and machinery into vapor. The other 7 ships scattered in panic. By the ancestors, someone whispered on the bridge. Hyunwoo ignored it. Helm. Bring us about. Target the Velkrin flagship. Missiles. Pattern Delta. The Times. Indomitable Times rotated, bringing its full weapons array to bear on the largest Velkrin vessel, a battlecruiser that was coordinating the attack on the station. 5,000 missiles launched simultaneously, their engines creating a wall of light as they accelerated toward their target. The Velkrin flagship's point defense systems tried desperately to shoot down the incoming missiles. They destroyed hundreds of them. But there were too many. Thousands of missiles slammed into the ship from every angle. The explosions merged into a single continuous blast of fire. When the light faded, the flagship was a broken wreck, tumbling through space. The Velkrin fleet's coordination collapsed. They had expected an easy victory against the lightly defended station. They hadn't expected to face a ship that could fight back like this. Sir, the remaining Velkrin ships are regrouping, Dae-hyun reported. They're forming a battle formation. Looks like they're preparing for a concentrated assault on our position. How many? 73 vessels. They're combining their fire. Even our armor won't hold up to that much sustained damage. Hyunwoo studied the tactical display. The Velkrin were afraid now. But they were also desperate. They had committed to this attack. If they failed, their entire civilization would face consequences. They had no choice but to try to win. Active defense protocols, Hyunwoo ordered. Point defense grid to maximum, and activate the Singularity Drive's combat mode. Ambassador G1 looked at him in horror. What does combat mode do? It lets us make micro-jumps in normal space. Short-range teleportation. It's extremely dangerous, and puts enormous stress on the ship's structure. But it's our best chance. The Velkrin fleet attacked. Thousands of plasma bolts filled the space where the Times' indomitable Times had been. But the ship wasn't there anymore. It had jumped 500 kilometers in an instant. appearing behind the Velcrin formation. The railguns fired again. This time they targeted the engines of Velcrin ships, crippling them without destroying them completely. Hyun-woo didn't want to kill more than necessary. He wanted to win, but he also wanted the survivors to remember this day. The point defense grid created a sphere of destruction around the Times' indomitable asterisk. Every incoming projectile was tracked and eliminated. The 3,000 automated turrets worked with perfect precision, guided by computers that calculated trajectories faster than any organic mind could process. Another micro-jump. The Times. Indomitable Times appeared at the center of the Velcrin formation. The enemy ships were now so close that they risked hitting each other if they fired. But the human battleship had no such concerns. Its weapons could fire in every direction, simultaneously. The battle became a slaughter. The Velcrin ships were designed to fight at range, using their superior plasma weapons to overwhelm enemies. But at close range, surrounded by a ship covered in weapons, they were helpless. One by one, they were disabled or destroyed. Throughout the system, other species watched in shock. Their sensors showed the impossible, a single ship fighting an entire fleet and winning. Recordings were being made, messages were being sent. The battle would be studied in military academies for generations to come. Inside the Times' indomitable asterisk's bridge, Hyun-woo opened a channel on all frequencies. His voice broadcast across the entire system. "This is Captain Hyun-woo of Earth to all Velcrin vessels. You came here expecting an easy victory. You thought you could murder the Council and blame it on humanity. You were wrong. I'm giving you one chance. Surrender now, or I will disable every ship in your fleet." For a moment, there was silence. Then, one of the Velcrin captains responded, his voice filled with rage. "We will never surrender to a primitive species. We will fight until..." His ship exploded as a railgun round found its reactor. "Anyone else want to debate?" Hyun-woo asked calmly. The remaining Velcrin ships, 30 of them still capable of movement, powered down their weapons. They had seen enough. They knew they couldn't win. "All Velcrin vessels, this is Flagship Commander Bekthar." A new voice transmitted. "We surrender. Please, no more killing." Hyun-woo nodded to his crew. "Hold fire. Commander Dae-hyun, coordinate with station security to take the Velcrin ships into custody." He paused, then added, "And get medical teams to any Velcrin ships with casualties. We're not monsters." As the immediate crisis ended, the reality of what had happened began to sink in. The Times, indomitable Times, had fought 80 warships and won. The bridge crew sat in stunned silence, hardly believing they were still alive. Ambassador Ji-won approached Hyun-woo. "You did it. You actually did it." "We did it," he corrected. "Earth did it. Humanity did it." An incoming transmission appeared on the main screen. It was High Arbiter Chixtera, broadcasting from a secure location deep in the Nexus. The crystalline being looked shaken but unharmed. "Captain Hyun-woo," Chixtera said slowly, "on behalf of the Galactic Council, I thank you for your intervention. You have saved countless lives today." The being paused. "For 12,000 years, we have lived in peace, believing that the age of great warships had passed. We thought civilization had evolved beyond the need for such power. Today, you have proven us both right and wrong." "High Arbiter?" Hyun-woo asked, uncertain what the being meant. "We were wrong that such power is unnecessary. The Velcrin attack proves that threats still exist. But we were right that civilization can evolve. You showed restraint. You disabled ships rather than destroying them when possible. You saved your enemies' lives even after they tried to kill you. That is the mark of a truly advanced species." Chixtera's form pulsed with light. "The Council will hold an emergency session within the hour. The Velcrin sovereignty will be held accountable for their crimes. And humanity." The being paused meaningfully. "Humanity will be granted full Council membership, with all rights, privileges, and responsibilities that entails. You have earned your place among us. After the transmission ended, Hyunwoo stood at the observation window, watching as rescue ships began helping the damaged Velkrin vessels. Commander Dae-hyun joined him. We won, sir. Against all odds. We won this battle, Hyunwoo agreed. But this was just the beginning. Earth is no longer a minor species hiding in the corner. We're going to be major players in galactic affairs now. That means new responsibilities, new challenges, new threats, but also new opportunities, Ambassador G1 added, joining them. We can help shape the galaxy's future. We can make a real difference. Hyunwoo nodded slowly, then smiled. They expected a shuttle. We brought a battleship, and because we did, because we came prepared, we saved thousands of lives and earned the respect of the entire galaxy. He turned to face his crew. Earth's message to the stars is clear now. We seek peace, we value diplomacy, but we will never be helpless. We came to space, carrying both an open hand and a closed fist, and will always let our neighbors choose which one they want to meet. In the distance, other ships were arriving to help with the rescue efforts. Species from across the galaxy, working together to save lives. The crisis had brought out the best in everyone, and humanity had proven they belonged among them. The age of humanity and the stars had truly begun.